This is the first of several videos on creating workflows to illustrate the value of this function. In this video, we will be creating a purchase approval workflow. In creating this workflow, we'll learn how to add tasks, add fields to those tasks, and add users. We'll cover functions in another workflows video. To create a new workflow, click the floating action button on the Workflows page within the Admin Utilities menu. Type in the name of the workflow, designate a type, and write a description. Then click Submit. You will now see information regarding the version of this workflow and any other workflows that it may be associated with. To edit this workflow, click version 1.0, which is currently in development. A sales engineer requires a new router. They create a purchase order in the system, triggering a workflow. Its first task is for the purchasing agent to obtain quotes from a number of vendors. To add a task, click the floating action button in the lower right corner, then click Add Task. Now choose from previously created task types or create a new task by typing in a name below. Multiple tasks can be added at once. You'll now see your new task designated by a node on the workflow interface. Click on this node to view settings, dependencies, assignments, fields, and functions. Now let's add more tasks to build out our workflow further. After obtaining quotes, we want to purchase the best cost to performance item, so we'll create a task for that. We also want any purchase over $1,000 to be approved by a manager, which will be another task. Now we'll want to set up dependencies for these tasks so that the flow moves in the way that we want. There are 4 types of dependencies that you can set between a parent task and a child task. A task dependency will trigger the child task when the parent has been completed. A task field option dependency will trigger the child task when certain types of fields within that parent are used. The task field date and time dependency will trigger the child task when the date field is used in the parent, meaning that the child task will be triggered on a certain date or time. The task function dependency will trigger the child task when a function within the parent has been completed. Let's add some dependencies to our tasks. For this workflow, we will mainly be using the task field option type of dependency. Click on the node, then click Fields. To add a task field, first choose the field type. There are many field types depending on what kind of information you want. For our purposes, we'll be using the Select type, which will allow us to require a decision to be made to advance the workflow. Now add a field name. Click the Required to Complete Task switch if needed. Now click Add Field. Now on the right side, click your new field to edit settings. Enter yes and no option values. Then click Update Field. Then close the task window. Sometimes your workflow needs to be refreshed after you've added a field or function. Click the refresh icon in the upper right of the window. To designate a dependency, drag a line from the parent task to the child task. Choose the type of dependency, in this case task field option, then choose the field and field option. Then click Add Dependency. Now we'll do the same thing for the other task, but choose another field option. Sometimes nodes and designation lines overlap, making the flow hard to read. Simply hold down the Shift key and click and drag the nodes into whatever order you would like. You can save the positions of your nodes by clicking the Save Node Positions icon in the upper left. You can also click the Auto Layout icon and let Vision organize the nodes. Clicking the question mark icon in the upper left will show you instructions on using the workflow interface. Now we need to add assignments to each task. Click the floating action button, then click Add Task Assignment. Then choose the assignment type, either a specific user or an entire group, then the task to assign. This user is now assigned to this task. Each task must have a user or group assignment in order to move the workflow to production. We now have a flow set up that will require manager approval if the item to purchase is over $1,000. If it is cheaper than $1,000, then the flow will continue on to the next step. Now we will quickly finish the rest of the workflow. Our workflow is now complete. We've added all the tasks to order the equipment, receive, and check it into inventory. You'll also see that we've added in required fields to show documentation regarding the purchase. Things like quote PDFs, receipts, and tracking information. We've also added in a text field should the purchase be terminated, requiring an explanation behind the termination from the manager. Fields allow you to build complex workflows and enforce collection of specific data. When you're ready to move your workflow into production, click the floating action button, then click Move to Production. The system will then do a check that all tasks are assigned and all task fields and functions are valid. If any of these return a negative result, you will need to make necessary changes to move on. Now click Submit.